So Google just launched another helpful content update, and here's how you need to change your SEO content strategy to adapt. Number one, match the keyword intent perfectly. Intent is what the searcher is looking to achieve when they search a keyword phrase on Google. So let's say your keyword phrase is best buffet in Nashville. Go to Google and analyze the first page of results. What are some commonalities you're seeing? In this case, I see that list posts tend to perform well, so I'd focus on creating something similar but better and more helpful. Which brings me to number two, find a unique content angle. Google wants to reward original, helpful content created for people in search results. So here's how I'd do it for best buffet in Nashville. I'd go to every buffet, document my experience, and then create an in-depth list post that ranks them. And I'd title it something like, I tried 14 best buffets in Nashville, here's number one. And you will easily outperform most of the top results because you created something original. And it will also help you build a moat around your content because your competitors won't be willing to invest the time or effort into content. And I've created thousands of successful SEO content assets over the last 10 years, and I can tell you one thing, investing in your content almost always works, while taking shortcuts is a recipe for short-term results and heartache. And the funny thing is that high effort content is also easier to promote and will likely attract more backlinks. So look for an angle that hasn't been used before, and you don't need to do something dramatically different either. It depends on the competition, but sometimes just having a better user experience can help you win in some search results. Speaking of that, number three, obsess over user experience. Google says it'll reward content where visitors feel they've had a satisfying experience. A satisfying experience starts with search intent. Is your content a 100% apples to apples match for the keyword? The next part will likely be based on how the user interacts with your page. According to Google, they use aggregated and anonymized interaction data to assess whether search results are relevant to queries. And no one knows for sure what interaction data Google is using, but we can make some educated guesses based on standard UX best practices. So I recommend starting with your page loading speed. So just run your page through Google PageSpeed Insights and make sure it performs well on both mobile and desktop. Then I recommend looking at your page's engagement rate inside of Google Analytics 4. So engagement rate is like a report card for your website. It tells you how many people did something meaningful on your site, like staying for more than 10 seconds, clicking on different pages, or buying something. And if it's low, you know there's room to improve the page. And there are many variables that affect user experience, but it's better to use data to your advantage. That's why I highly recommend using a UX tracking tool like Mouseflow or Hotjar to see how users are engaging with your content. And once you have the data, you can then run intelligent SEO tests. I recommend SEOtesting.com to test different headlines, intros, or even the angle of your content. Number four, prune content that's dragging your site down. Google says removing unhelpful content could help the rankings of your other content. Now, before you go and start deleting stuff, there's an easy way to attack this. Open Screaming Frog, connect the GA4 Google Search Console and Ahrefs APIs, and then run a crawl. Then download the report and add it to a Google Sheet. Now filter your results for pages that have zero traffic from GA4, 0 impressions from Google Search Console, and 0 backlinks from Ahrefs. Any page that meets this criteria is a good candidate for deletion. Number five, use ChatGPT to grade your SEO content. Okay, so all you have to do is put this simple prompt in here, and this is pulled directly from Google's guidelines. And then once you go down here, there's a little section for content. Put the content in here and then start the analysis. And then ChatGPT will go ahead and grade this content. Now, this isn't 100% accurate by any means, but I've tested this probably at least a couple hundred times now at this point, and it works exceptionally well, at least to give you a general idea of how good this content is. And so you can tell right away we're looking at very important things that Google will be looking at, maybe at least from the manual reviewer perspective, but at least we know that we're going to try to make this content better. And that's really the purpose of this, is we're just getting some feedback on our content. And fortunately, we don't need to have a human to do this. We can just have this machine do it for us. And so based on what we're seeing here, there's a lot of room to improve this content. So use this to your advantage to look for opportunities to improve the content even more. Number six, study and emulate helpful SEO content. So one of my favorite things to do is to find content that's performing well in very competitive industries and use that angle in a different niche that's less competitive. So in this case, I'm looking at a sleep calculator that was created by the Sleep Foundation. And this is a great piece of helpful content. If you look at it, it has a lot of value and they get right into it, right? They show you the key takeaways right away. That way you can quickly skim it. There's a nice table of contents. It's easy to share. And they've got this really cool calculator that works super well. Then below that, they have the deeper level content that you can dig into. But at the end of the day, this is a very, very well-designed page. So when you're thinking about how to create a very helpful page, that's what this comes down to. This isn't about content per se. This is about just building a very helpful page for someone. If that includes some sort of software or a tool, the content itself, the design, the user experience, like all of these things matter, right? So when you look at this page, it is very, very well designed. It's very easy to read and it adds a lot of value. And what you'll notice too is that every single thing on this page is 100% unique to their brand, right? So they have unique images that are specific to their brand. They have unique videos that are specific to their brand. And so you can tell that there's been a lot of content investment in this. And that's really what's going to make the difference long term. You want to try to build a moat around your content because the harder it is for someone to recreate your content, the harder it is for them to outrank you. So ultimately, if you just go into ChatGPT and you generate some, quick piece of content, you should not expect to rank very long. But when you do this level of investment in your content, you're just making it more difficult for your competitors to beat you. Okay, that's all we're trying to do. So there's different strategies, obviously, in SEO. You can go the real broad strategy and just go out for a lot of keywords, or you can try to create really exceptional assets that are very difficult to beat. Funny thing is, which I believe I already mentioned this, is when you invest in content like this type of content tends to attract more links. Okay, so as a whole, it's going to be much more beneficial to go this route than any other route. Look at another one here. This is from Ratings. And you'll see once again a very helpful piece of content. They actually have a nice little thing here where you can change this little slider here depending on the distance from your TV. So once again, not super complicated thing. We're not super technical, but this is really cool. This is really helpful. Google is using a very good word here, which is helpful. And if you live by that standard, no matter how you feel about Google's guidelines, it doesn't make a difference. But the point is that we're trying to create content that people actually use, that people actually get value from, that people actually come out of it and they say, wow, that actually helped me. Okay, that's what we're trying to do with the content. The goal isn't just to rank on Google. The goal is to get the user to actually do something with the content. Either you satisfy the intent and they leave happy. Number two, they share your content. Number three, they engage with the content. Number four, they actually go to a second page on your site. And then even potentially maybe they become a lead or maybe they become a customer. Maybe they buy a product through your affiliate link. But ultimately what we're doing is we're trying to get a user to do something. And if we do a good job, the likelihood that they'll do something on our site that's positive is much higher. Okay, and you can tell there's a lot of investment that goes into a piece of content like this. It's pretty insane. Once again, another one here, Investopedia. Look at this one. I mean, not going to blow your mind as far as being super interesting or super engaging, but it gives you all of the content that you need if this was the research that you needed to do. Right? If you were looking to see who, GDP numbers, this is perfect. It gives you everything that you need, and there's no fluff, there's no nonsense. It's not trying to be funny or cool. It's just giving you the raw numbers. So this is really useful for someone who needs these citations. And lastly, Healthline, they always do a very good job with their content. And you can take a look. Once again, they've got all the necessary EEAT guidelines here, and you'll notice that kind of trend here. If we look across this, you see the expertise is all over the place. We got expertise up here. We've got, not so much on ratings, but there are some authors here. And then once again, over here on the Sleep Foundation, there are some authors down here at the bottom, along with references and citations. Okay, so notice that all of the top websites do this really well. Okay, so if we want to get similar outcomes, not necessarily going to get the same level of traffic as these sites or authority, but if we're trying to model what works, then just do what they're already doing. These are 4 sites that I would pretty much look at as models. You have Sleep Foundation, you have Ratings, you have Investopedia, and you have Healthline. Okay, these 4 sites do things very, very well, so I would definitely try to model them. So if your Google rankings have dropped after this last update, then watch the next video to fix it.